The large viewing window of Orbital Station Harmony gave a perfect view of Earth below. Captain Tom Wilson stood with his hands clasped behind his back, trying to keep his nerves under control. Today would go down in history books. Today, humans would meet aliens for the first time. "Captain, they're approaching the docking bay," said Lieutenant Jen Adams, her voice tight with excitement. Tom nodded and straightened his dress uniform. The brass buttons and medals felt too tight against his chest. "All personnel to welcome stations. This is not a drill." The station's hallways buzzed with activity as diplomats, scientists, and military personnel took their positions. Earth's finest representatives lined the path from the docking bay to the main conference room, faces a mixture of anticipation and barely contained fear. Tom led the welcoming party to the airlock. Behind him stood Earth's most accomplished linguists, biologists, and government officials. Their training had prepared them for this moment, but nothing could truly ready a person for meeting beings from another world. The station's AI spoke through the overhead speakers. Voltrax vessels secured. Airlock pressure equalizing. Tom felt sweat beading on his forehead. "Remember," he said to those behind him, "smile, but not too wide. It might show aggression. No sudden movements. Follow protocol exactly." The metal door slid open with a soft hiss. The beings that emerged were nothing like humans had imagined. The Voltrax stood nearly 7 feet tall with slender bodies covered in blue-tinted skin. 4 large eyes, 2 main ones and 2 smaller ones above, took in the welcoming party. Most striking was their partially translucent skin that revealed pulsing organs and flowing blue-green fluid through their veins. The lead Voltrax stepped forward. Its body movements were fluid, almost like it was floating rather than walking. "Greetings, people of Earth," it said, the words coming through a translation device at its throat. "I am High Ambassador Krell of the Voltrax Confederation. We come with peaceful intent to establish relations between our species." Tom stepped forward, bowing slightly as instructed. "High Ambassador Krell, I am Captain Tom Wilson of the United Earth Space Force. On behalf of all humanity, we welcome you to Earth orbit and to Harmony Station." As he rose from his bow, Tom's boot caught on the ceremonial sword at his side, a decorative piece meant to honor Earth's military traditions. He stumbled forward, arms flailing wildly, and nearly crashed into Ambassador Krell before catching himself at the last moment. The human delegation froze for an instant, then burst into nervous laughter. The sound echoed through the metal hallway, some laughing from relief, others from the sudden release of tension, and many at the sight of the dignified captain nearly face-planting at humanity's most important moment. Tom's face flushed red. "I apologize for thee." But he stopped mid-sentence. The Voltrax delegation had not moved. Not a single one showed any reaction to his stumble. Instead, the thin membranes across their faces pulsated rapidly, and their 4 eyes blinked in an unsynchronized pattern. "Is something wrong with your breathing functions?" Ambassador Krell asked, head tilting slightly. "Your delegation is making unusual respiratory sounds and facial contractions." The human laughter died down awkwardly. Dr. Ellie Roberts, Earth's chief xenobiologist, stepped forward. "No, Ambassador. We are experiencing what humans call laughter. It's a social response to unexpected situations that aren't threatening." The 4 eyes of Ambassador Krell blinked one after another in sequence. "This response serves what purpose?" Dr. Roberts looked uncertainly at Tom. "It's complicated. Perhaps we can discuss human emotional responses during our cultural exchange sessions." "Very well," the ambassador replied. "Please proceed with the formal introduction ceremony." As the procession moved toward the conference room, Tom noticed the Voltrax delegates communicating among themselves using subtle movements of their head membranes. He couldn't shake the feeling that they were deeply confused, or possibly concerned, by what they had just witnessed. What Tom didn't know then was that this small moment, this simple human laugh, would soon become the biggest challenge in forging an alliance between Earth and its first alien visitors. 3 days after first contact, Professor Lisa Martinez stood in front of a large screen in Harmony Station's main conference room. As Earth's leading cultural anthropologist, she had been given the important job of explaining human culture to the Voltrax. "Today we will discuss the concept of humor," Lisa said, smiling at the 10 Voltrax delegates seated in perfect rows before her. Ambassador Krell's 4 eyes focused intently on her. "This is the breathing malfunction from our arrival." "Not a malfunction," Lisa explained patiently. "Laughter is a normal human response. It's how we react to things we find funny." "Funny," repeated Krell, the translation device making the word sound flat. "Define this concept." Lisa had prepared for this question, but now that it was asked, she realized how difficult it would be to explain. Funny is something that makes us laugh because it's unexpected or creates a feeling of joy or amusement. The Voltrax delegates looked at each other, their facial membranes pulsing rapidly. One of them, introduced as Science Officer Vex, spoke up. "Your explanation is circular. You laugh at things that are funny. And things are funny because they make you laugh. This lacks logical structure." Lisa nodded. "You're right. It's not easy to define. Perhaps examples would help." She tapped her tablet, and the screen behind her displayed a classic comedy scene of a person slipping on a banana peel. The human staff in the room chuckled at the clip. The Voltrax remained silent. "What purpose does this serve?" asked Krell. The human in this recording failed to notice an obstacle and fell. "This seems to indicate poor awareness of surroundings. Why is this desirable?" Lisa tried again. "It's not that we want people to fall. The humor comes from the unexpected nature of the fall and the fact that no serious harm was done. It helps us cope with small failures." Vex leaned forward. "On our world, such a failure could mean death. Our planet has higher gravity and harsher conditions than Earth. A fall like this could break bones or worse." For the first time, Lisa understood something fundamental about the Voltrax. Their home planet, as their scientific reports had detailed, was a harsh, unforgiving place with limited resources. Their society had evolved to prioritize efficiency and safety at all times. "I think I understand," Lisa said. "Your world made mistakes too costly to laugh at. Purposeful miscommunication serves no evolutionary advantage," Ambassador Krell stated. "This seems like a developmental flaw in your species." The room grew quiet. Dr. Jack Thompson, a human psychologist, cleared his throat. "Actually, humor served many purposes in our evolution. It helped with stress relief, social bonding, and even mate selection." The Voltrax delegates' membranes pulsed even faster, a sign that Lisa had learned meant they were processing new information. "Perhaps," Krell said eventually, "this is an adaptation to your planet's conditions. Earth has abundant resources and many safe areas. Humans could afford to develop inefficient communication methods." Lisa realized they were looking at humor as a biological adaptation, which wasn't entirely wrong. "Let me try a different approach," she said. "Humor often involves seeing connections between seemingly unrelated things. This has helped humans solve problems creatively throughout our history." She displayed a simple joke on the screen. "Why don't scientists trust atoms?" "Because they make up everything." The human staff laughed. One Voltrax delegate, younger than the others, tilted its head. "This is a wordplay," the young Voltrax said. "The word make up has 2 meanings, to constitute and to fabricate falsehoods. The joke creates a logical paradox." Lisa smiled brightly. "Yes, exactly. But why is this paradox pleasurable?" the young Voltrax asked. Lisa thought for a moment. "It exercises our minds, helps us think flexibly. And when we get the joke, it creates a sense of connection with others who also understand it." Ambassador Krell looked around at the other Voltrax. "This may explain much about human behavior in our observations. Humans appear to prioritize this connection over efficiency." "Sometimes, yes," Lisa admitted. We believe relationships and emotional bonds are as important as practical concerns. The Voltrax delegates conferred among themselves using subtle movements and soft clicks that their translation devices didn't process. Finally, Krell turned back to Lisa. This is very different from our way. But understanding differences is why we are here. We will study this human humor further. It may be key to understanding your species. As the meeting ended, Lisa couldn't help feeling that this gap in understanding might be harder to bridge than language or technology. The Voltrax didn't laugh, had never laughed, and might never truly understand one of humanity's most basic joys. 1 month into the diplomatic relations between Earth and the Voltrax Confederation, things had settled into a careful routine. Both species were making progress in understanding each other's technologies, though cultural gaps remained wide. Engineer Jack Thompson wiped sweat from his forehead as he made final adjustments to the quantum communication device. Today's demonstration was crucial. If successful, it would allow instant communication across vast distances, revolutionizing space travel and diplomacy. The conference room was packed with important people. The human delegation sat on one side, the Voltrax on the other. Captain Tom Wilson and Ambassador Krell sat in the front row, watching Jack closely. "Ladies, gentlemen, and honored Voltrax delegates," Jack began, his voice steady despite his nerves. "What you're about to see is the future of interstellar communication." Jack pressed a series of buttons on the sleek metal device. A soft hum filled the room as lights blinked across its surface. The quantum particles inside this device are entangled with matching particles in a sister device on Earth, Jack explained. When we manipulate one set, the other responds instantly, regardless of distance. The Voltrax delegates leaned forward, their membranes pulsing with interest. This technology was similar to something they had been developing themselves. Jack typed a message on the small keyboard. "Greetings from Harmony Station." Everyone watched the screen that would display the response from Earth. Suddenly, the device made a loud popping sound. A small cloud of gray smoke puffed from its side. The screen flickered and went dark. Jack stared at the machine in disbelief. He had tested it 20 times yesterday. It had worked perfectly. The room fell silent. The human delegates looked uncomfortable. The Voltrax watched without expression. Jack felt the weight of everyone's eyes on him. His career flashed before his eyes. Then, to break the tension, he did what humans often do in awkward situations. He made a joke. "Well," he said with a nervous smile, "that's one way to break the ice." The human delegation burst into laughter, not because the joke was particularly funny, but because it relieved the tension of the moment. Captain Wilson chuckled and shook his head. But on the Voltrax side of the room, something very different happened. Ambassador Krell stood up suddenly, membrane flaring to a bright blue color. "Emergency. Clear the room immediately." The Voltrax delegates moved with startling speed. One of them hit a button on a small device, and containment shields shimmered into existence around the smoking quantum communicator. "Seal the station," Krell commanded as Voltrax security personnel rushed to positions around the room. Potential explosive device activated. Captain Wilson jumped to his feet. "Ambassador, there's no danger," he said, ice-breaking weapon. Krell's translator device crackled with the force of the alien's communication. "Your engineer has admitted to sabotage." The human security team looked confused, hands hovering near their weapons. The Voltrax had already drawn strange devices that hummed with energy. Dr. Ellie Roberts stepped between the two groups, hands raised. "Stop. This is a misunderstanding." She turned to Krell. "Ambassador, breaking the ice is just a human expression. It means to reduce tension in a social situation." Jack was making a joke about his machine failing, not threatening anyone. Krell's 4 eyes blinked in sequence. "A joke? In a serious technological demonstration?" "Yes," Ellie explained, her voice calm. "Humans often use humor in stressful situations. It helps us cope with disappointment or failure." The Voltrax security team looked to Krell for guidance. Slowly, the ambassador's membrane returned to its normal color. You used humor during a critical malfunction of advanced technology. Krell seemed genuinely confused. Jack stepped forward cautiously. I apologize for the confusion, Ambassador. The device simply overheated. There's no danger, and certainly no weapon. After a long, tense moment, Krell made a gesture, and the Voltrax security team lowered their devices. The containment shields disappeared. This meeting is adjourned until we can investigate this cultural misunderstanding, Krell announced. All technology exchanges are suspended until further notice. As the Voltrax delegates filed out of the room, Captain Wilson approached Jack. I don't think they got your joke, Wilson said quietly. Jack nodded, still shaken. Sir, I think I just created an interstellar incident with a bad pun. Not your fault, Wilson replied. But maybe we should add a section about humor to the diplomatic briefings. What neither of them realized was that the Voltrax High Council was already receiving a concerning report about human unpredictability, and that Jack's innocent joke had raised serious questions about whether humans could be trusted with advanced technology at all. Subject 27. Please view the following clip and report your reaction. Dr. Robert Williams sat beside Dr. Vex in the observation room of Harmony Station's science lab. Through the one-way glass, they watched a young human woman named Mia laugh at a comedy video playing on the screen before her. That's hilarious, Mia said between laughs. The way the cat just slides off the table, and then looks so surprised. Dr. Vex's membranes pulsed rapidly as he studied the brain scan appearing on his monitor. Colored areas lit up in Mia's brain, the same pattern they had seen in all 26 previous test subjects. Fascinating, Dr. Vex said, his translator making the words sound flat. The pleasure centers of the human brain activate when expectations are subverted. 2 weeks had passed since the ice-breaking incident. The Voltrax High Council, deeply confused by human behavior, had assigned their top xenobiologist, Dr. Vex, to conduct a formal scientific study of human humor. Dr. Williams, a human psychologist, had been paired with him. It's not just about expectations being broken, Dr. Williams explained. It's about them being broken in a way that doesn't threaten us. A cat falling harmlessly is funny. A person getting seriously hurt isn't funny to most of us. Dr. Vex made notes on his tablet. Your species deliberately creates cognitive dissonance for pleasure. This is entirely counter to efficient thought processing. I suppose that's one way to look at it, Dr. Williams admitted. They moved to the next test. Dr. Williams told Mia a simple joke through the intercom. Why did the Scarecrow win an award? Because he was outstanding in his field. Mia laughed. The brain scan lit up again. This one involves what we call wordplay, Dr. Williams explained. The phrase outstanding in his field has 2 meanings, literally standing in a field and being excellent at something. Dr. Vex's 4 eyes blinked in sequence, so the humor derives from language imprecision. Not imprecision, flexibility, corrected Dr. Williams. We find connections between different meanings enjoyable. After finishing with Mia, they tested 5 more subjects with similar results. When the day's experiments were complete, Dr. Vex and Dr. Williams compiled their findings in the lab. After 32 test subjects, Dr. Vex stated, I have identified 6 primary categories of human humor: physical comedy, wordplay, absurdity, surprise, recognition of shared experiences, and release of social tension. Dr. Williams nodded. That's a good summary. But do you understand why we find these things pleasurable? Dr. Vex's membranes pulsed slowly, a sign of deep thought. I have theories. Humor appears to serve social bonding functions. When humans laugh together, their brain chemistry shows patterns similar to grooming behaviors in other Earth mammals. That's right, Dr. Williams said, impressed. Laughter builds trust and community. But there is more, Dr. Vex continued. Your brain scans show humor activates problem-solving centers briefly before pleasure centers. This suggests humor may have evolved as a reward for recognizing pattern breaks, a survival advantage in changing environments. Dr. Williams raised his eyebrows. That's actually a brilliant observation. I've never thought of it that way. Dr. Vex stood and walked to the window overlooking Earth. The blue planet turned slowly below the station. Your planet is chaotic compared to ours, he said quietly. Rapid weather changes, diverse ecosystems, constant natural disasters. Perhaps humor evolved because humans needed to adapt quickly, to find unexpected solutions. He turned back to Dr. Williams. Voltrax evolved on a world with fewer variables. Resources were scarce but stable. Our survival depended on efficiency and consistency, not adaptation. Dr. Williams felt a new understanding dawning. So you're saying we laugh because our world taught us to expect the unexpected. Precisely. Your brains reward you for recognizing when patterns break, because that skill kept your ancestors alive. Dr. Vex's membranes pulsed. My people never needed such a trait. Dr. Williams smiled. Yet here you are, studying our strange behavior with an open mind. Science demands objectivity, Dr. Vex replied. And I must complete my report for the High Council. They are concerned about human unpredictability. Concerned. Dr. Williams felt suddenly uneasy. In what way? Dr. Vex hesitated before answering. Some council members believe a species that finds pleasure in broken patterns might be inherently untrustworthy. Dr. Williams frowned. That's a troubling conclusion. Indeed, said Dr. Vex, which is why this research is so important. I must help my people understand that human humor is not a defect, but an adaptation to your world. As they finished their notes, neither scientist realized that their findings would soon become critical to the future of human-Voltrax relations, or that the clock was already ticking toward a serious diplomatic crisis. Intelligence Officer Maria Rodriguez moved silently through the dimly lit corridors of Harmony Station's restricted section. It was 3 a.m. station time, and most of the crew was asleep. Maria wasn't supposed to be here, but what she had discovered couldn't wait until morning. She slipped her security card through the reader outside Captain Wilson's quarters. The door opened with a soft hiss. "Captain," she whispered, shaking his shoulder. "Wake up. We have a problem." Tom Wilson sat up quickly, instantly alert as years of military training kicked in. "What is it, Rodriguez?" "Sir, I've intercepted Voltrax communications. They're preparing defensive measures against Earth." 10 minutes later, an emergency meeting convened in the station's secure briefing room. Captain Wilson, Dr. Williams, Professor Martins, and 3 other high-ranking officials listened as Maria explained what she had found. "For the past week, I've been monitoring unusual activity from the Voltrax ship," Maria said, displaying data on the main screen. "Their communications have tripled, and they've repositioned their vessel to allow for quicker departure." She switched to another screen. "Last night, I intercepted this message from the Voltrax High Council to Ambassador Krell." The translated message appeared before them. Asterisk analysis of human entertainment broadcasts complete. Results confirm initial concerns. Humans display consistent patterns of deception, aggression, and mental instability in their comedy. Prepare security protocols. Further diplomatic engagement may be dangerous, awaiting your final assessment before action. Asterisk. The room fell silent. They'd been watching our TV shows, Dr. Williams asked finally. "Not just watching," Maria explained. "Analyzing. From what I can gather, they've been studying Earth broadcasts for weeks. They seem particularly troubled by our comedy programs." Captain Wilson rubbed his forehead. "They think our jokes mean we're unstable." "It's worse than that," Professor Martinez said quietly. "Think about it from their perspective. They see humans laughing at physical pain, deception, insults, and absurdity. Without understanding the context, they might see us as dangerous or mentally ill." "How much time do we have?" Wilson asked. Maria frowned. "Based on communication patterns, I'd say 3 days before they make their final decision. If they decide we're a threat. She didn't need to finish the sentence. Everyone knew the Voltrax possessed technology far beyond Earth's capabilities. We need to fix this, Wilson said firmly. Dr. Williams, you've been working with Dr. Vex. Does he understand human humor now? Somewhat, Williams replied. He sees it as an adaptation, but he's still confused by why we find certain things funny, and he's just one Voltrax. The whole High Council needs convincing. Then we need to convince them all, Wilson said. Martinez, can you put together a presentation explaining human humor in terms the Voltrax might understand? The professor looked uncertain. I can try, but we've been attempting this for months with limited success. What about Dr. Vex's research? Maria suggested. His findings seem to be the closest any Voltrax has come to understanding us. Williams nodded slowly. That could work. But we'd need more than just scientific data. We need to show them the positive aspects of humor, how it helps us solve problems, build relationships, cope with stress. Then that's what we'll do, Wilson decided. Rodriguez, keep monitoring their communications. Williams, get everything you have from Dr. Vex. Martinez, start working on a presentation for the High Council. As the meeting broke up, Captain Wilson stopped Maria at the door. Good work finding this, he said quietly, but something's bothering me. How did you intercept encrypted Voltrax communications? Their technology is supposed to be unbreakable. Maria hesitated. Sir, I don't think they encrypted the message properly. It's like they wanted us to find it. Wilson's eyes narrowed, or at least someone did. Find out who. As Maria hurried back to her station, she wondered if perhaps one Voltrax scientist had already figured out the importance of humor to humans and wanted to give Earth a chance to explain before it was too late. What she didn't know was that time was running out faster than anyone realized. The Voltrax High Council had already begun preparations for what they called preventative security measures against the unpredictable humans who found pleasure in chaos. We have less than 48 hours, Captain Wilson announced to the small team gathered in the conference room. The Voltrax High Council has agreed to hear our presentation, but they've already begun moving their fleet into defensive positions. Maria Rodriguez nodded grimly. Their ships have taken positions that would allow them to target major Earth cities within minutes. The room fell silent as the gravity of the situation sank in. Their task was simple but seemingly impossible. Convince an alien species that human humor wasn't a sign of mental instability or aggression. I've been working with Dr. Vex, Dr. Williams said, breaking the silence. He understands the basic concept now, but translating that understanding to the entire High Council will be challenging. Professor Martinez spread her notes on the table. I've prepared a presentation on the evolutionary advantages of humor, but it's still very academic. We need something more impactful. That's where I come in, said a new voice. Dave Johnson walked into the room with a confident stride. He was Earth's most famous comedian, specially flown to the station overnight when the crisis emerged. A comedian? Captain Wilson looked skeptical. No offense, Johnson, but the Voltrax don't understand jokes. That's the whole problem. Dave smiled. I'm not going to tell them jokes. I'm going to show them why we need humor to survive. Dr. Anita Kumar, a cultural anthropologist who had joined the team, nodded in agreement. Dave has the right idea. We need to show, not tell. The Voltrax respond to data and evidence. Over the next 36 hours, the team worked nonstop. Dr. Kumar gathered historical evidence of how humor helped human societies survive hardships. Dr. Williams compiled brain scans showing the health benefits of laughter. Professor Martinez refined her evolutionary theory, and Dave Johnson provided the human element, helping them translate complex ideas into simple, clear examples. When the time came for the presentation to the Voltrax High Council, tension filled the large conference room. 12 high-ranking Voltrax sat on one side, their blue membranes pulsing with rapid, concerned patterns. Dr. Vex sat slightly apart, his posture suggesting he wasn't sure which side he was on. Captain Wilson began with a formal greeting, then handed the floor to Maria. "Honored council members," she said, "we understand you have concerns about human behavior. We're here to address those concerns directly." Dr. Williams went first, displaying brain scans on the large screen. Human laughter physically reduces stress hormones. When we laugh, our bodies release chemicals that help us think more clearly and make better decisions. The Voltrax watched silently, their 4 eyes blinking in sequence. Dr. Kumar stepped forward. Throughout human history, humor has helped us survive our darkest times. She showed images from wars, natural disasters, and plagues. When humans face hardship, we use humor to maintain hope and build stronger communities. Some of the Voltrax began leaning forward, their membranes pulsing more slowly, a sign of interest. Professor Martinez explained her theory. Humor evolved as a way to reward creative thinking. When early humans found unexpected solutions to problems, laughter reinforced that behavior, helping our species adapt quickly to changing conditions. Then it was Dave's turn. He walked to the center of the room and spoke quietly. "When I was 10 years old, my home was destroyed in a flood. My family lost everything. At the shelter that night, an old man told a simple joke. For just a moment, everyone laughed. In that moment, I knew we would survive." He looked directly at the Voltrax. Humor isn't weakness, it's strength. It doesn't show we're unstable, it shows we're resilient. Dave continued, "When humans laugh together, we form bonds that help us work together. When we joke about our problems, we gain the emotional distance to solve them. When we find humor in darkness, we find the courage to face it." Dr. Vex stood up suddenly. "Council members, my research confirms these humans' claims. I have measured the physiological benefits of their laughter. I have analyzed its social function. Humor is not a defect. It is an adaptation that helped humans thrive on a chaotic planet." For several long minutes, the council conferred among themselves. The humans waited, hardly daring to breathe. Finally, the head council member spoke. "We require time to process this information. Return tomorrow for our decision." As they filed out, Dr. Vex approached them quietly. "You have given them much to consider. For the first time, I believe they are truly listening." The next day, humans and Voltrax gathered once more in the conference room. Captain Wilson tried to appear calm, but the dark circles under his eyes revealed a sleepless night. Maria Rodriguez sat beside him, watching the Voltrax delegates file in with their usual perfect posture. Ambassador Krell entered last, followed by the head council member. The room fell silent. After much consideration, the head council member began. "We have reached a decision." Everyone held their breath. "We still do not understand human humor," the alien continued. "It remains strange to us. However, Dr. Vex's research and your presentation have convinced us that this trait is not a defect, but an adaptation suited to your species and planet." The tension in the room eased slightly as the head council member continued. "The Voltrax value knowledge and understanding above all else. It would be against our principles to reject a species simply because they evolved differently than we did." Captain Wilson nodded respectfully. "Thank you for your wisdom, council member. However, the alien added, practical concerns remain. Our species communicate very differently. This could lead to dangerous misunderstandings, as we have already seen." Dr. Vex stepped forward. "Council members, I have a solution." He activated a small device, projecting an image of a complex program. "I have developed an AI translation system specifically designed to recognize human humor and explain its context to Voltrax users." The council examined the program with interest as Dr. Vex explained. When humans use expressions like "break the ice" or make jokes during meetings, the system will flag these as non-literal communication and provide proper context. Professor Martinez smiled. "We've been working on a similar system for humans. It will help us recognize when Voltrax communication patterns indicate serious concerns versus simple observations." The head council member's membranes pulsed slowly, a sign that Dr. Williams had learned meant approval. This is acceptable. Our ships will stand down, and normal diplomatic relations will resume. Relief washed over the human delegation. Months of hard work had prevented a potential disaster. 1 month later, Harmony Station hosted a special ceremony marking 1 year since first contact between humans and the Voltrax. The station's main hall was decorated with symbols from both worlds. Diplomats, scientists, and crew members from both species mingled, their conversations assisted by the new translation devices everyone wore. Captain Wilson stood at the center of the room with Ambassador Krell, raising a glass in a toast. To understanding between different minds, Wilson said. Ambassador Krell raised his own glass containing a blue Voltrax liquid. To finding common ground across differences. Then, to everyone's surprise, Krell continued speaking. I have prepared something for this occasion. Dr. Vex has been teaching me about human customs. The room grew quiet as Krell spoke again. How many Voltrax does it take to understand a human joke? He paused for exactly the right amount of time, just as he had practiced. The entire Confederation, apparently. For a moment, there was silence. The delivery was mechanical, the joke itself simple. But then, understanding rippled through the human crowd, and laughter erupted. Genuine, warm laughter of appreciation. The Voltrax watched curiously as the humans laughed. They still couldn't understand why the joke was funny, but they recognized something important was happening. Dr. Vex leaned toward Dr. Williams. They are not laughing at the joke itself, are they? Williams smiled. No. They're laughing at the effort it represents, the attempt to bridge the gap between our worlds. On the other side of the room, Maria Rodriguez watched the scene with satisfaction. Do you think the Voltrax will ever truly understand humor? She asked Professor Martinez. Perhaps not, Martins replied. Just as we may never fully understand their precise, logical minds. But maybe we don't need to understand everything about each other to be friends. As the celebration continued, humans and Voltrax shared stories, traded knowledge, and built relationships despite their differences. That day, the galaxy witnessed something remarkable. 2 fundamentally different kinds of minds finding a way to appreciate each other, even when one laughed and the other didn't get the joke. And in that understanding, both species found something more valuable than perfect communication. They found respect for different ways of experiencing the universe.